Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria, and today we're going to be talking about some books that I read because of Booktube. I am a huge fan of watching Booktube, and I watched Booktube for a very long time before I actually started my channel. So I have some favorite booktubers that I match their reading tastes. And then there are some booktubers that I just watch, even if I don't like or don't really read anything that they like, I still like watching them. So for this video, I'm going to be mentioning a couple of books that I found through Booktube, through a specific booktuber, and then immediately put on my TBR, because I get a lot of my book recommendations from Booktube. So I could put so many books on this video, but these ones that I picked out are specifically ones where I watched somebody talk about them and then immediately put it on my TBR and went and read it right after they talked about it. So a lot of times I'll have books that they'll talk about and I'll be like, oh, I want to read that, and then I'll put it as want to read on Goodreads, and then eventually I'll get to it. These are ones that I watched the video and then within the next couple of weeks read the book. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is The Secret by Julie Garwood. This is one that I saw talked about on Jess from Peace Love Books channel. I will link all of the people's channel in the description. This one I saw on Jess's channel. This is a historical, and it actually ended up on my favorites list of 2020 last year. I read this at the beginning of last year, I think, right around the time. It was only a month or two after Jess read it, and I saw her talking about it in a video, and the way that she was talking about it and the way she really liked it and the way that she was discussing it and the plot, I just knew that this was something that I was going to love. And it ended up being amazing. I loved it so much. So this one is about a girl named Judith who is best friend. She's an English woman, and she has this best friend named Frances Catherine who is Scottish. And Frances Catherine is since she was little has been terrified of being pregnant and giving birth because a bunch of women in her family have died during childbirth, including her own mother. So she makes Judith kind of promise that when it's her time to give birth, that Judith's going to be there for support and everything. And so years later, Frances Catherine is pregnant, and she sends word to Judith hey, I'm pregnant, come to my village and be with me. And Judith has to be escorted into the Highlands because she's an English woman, and Scots and the English people do not get along. And so Frances Catherine petitions her clan to allow Judith to come, and then then the men of the clan, including the laird, all go down to England to pick up Judith and bring her back up to the Highlands to their clan. And they're all expecting some meek woman, and she is not at all. She is a badass, and she is sassy, and she stands up for herself, and all of these Englishmen are like, what the fuck? English women are not supposed to act like that. And she ends up having a romance with the laird of the clan. And am I holding this upside down? Oh my god. I love this book. I need to reread it because I haven't read it since the first time. I haven't reread it since the first time that I read it. But I love it, and one of my favorite historicals, probably my favorite old school historical that I've read. Okay, the next one that I'm going to talk about is a recommendation that I got from Jenn from the Book Refuge. And this one, I actually remembered the specific video that she was talking about because it was not that long ago. So Jenn posted a video on her channel that was prickly heroines, and I love a prickly heroine. I know that a lot of people are can get annoyed by prickly heroines, but I love them. And when people are oh, but they're not nice, and they're just kind of mean sometimes, or they're have a lot of attitude, and I love that in my heroines. So I was so excited to watch this video, and one of the ones that she was talking about in this video was Ivan, or Yvonne, I never know how to say it, by Sophie Lark. And this I read immediately, like within like a week or two of watching that video, and I adored it. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it so much. And this one is a mafia romance, and it is about a heroine who is I think her name is Sloane, and she is an assassin. And her father was CIA, American CIA, and he trained her. And so she is extremely skilled in stealth, in anything a CIA agent gets trained in. And so she's good at killing people, and she is an assassin who gets hired to kill the head of a mafia family in Russia. And in the process of going to kill him, she gets caught by him, gets captured, and he holds her captive. And then they fall in love. I loved it. It was so good. One of my favorite mafias that I've read. It's so good. I really liked it. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to talk about is the Grip series. Specifically, the one that I'm going to talk about is like these two, because I haven't read Still yet. I'm going to read Still this month. I am terrified. I have heard that it's going to rip my heart out, and I am not really prepared. But I loved the both of these. This is the prequel Flow, and this is the technically the first book in the series Grip. And then the one that comes after is Still, which I haven't read yet. But this book series was talked about on both Bree from In Love and Words channel and Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life. And this is one where I saw it on Bree's channel first, and she was talking about it and saying how it's like her favorite Kennedy Ryan and all this stuff. And at the time, I had only read one Kennedy Ryan book. And I am not an angsty reader. Like, I don't love like the drawn out angst. I just want them to be together. But Kennedy Ryan is known for that. And despite me not normally being a fan of it, I love it in Kennedy Ryan's books. She writes them so beautifully, but so like gut-wrenching. And so I saw it on Bree's channel, and she's talking about how she loved it, and that was her favorite series. And I was interested, and I knew that I wanted to read like more Kennedy Ryan books, but it wasn't until I saw Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life talk about this series and talk about how much she loved them and gushed so much about them that I knew that I needed to read it now. It wasn't one that I could just put off and wait for. It was one that I needed to read now. And I immediately read Flow and loved it. And then right after I finished Flow, in the same day, I started Grip. And I had started this book like around like late afternoon. I stayed up and read it the entire night. Like that was, I just hit myself in the face with it. While I couldn't sleep, this is what I listened to, the audiobook, and I loved it so much. And it was like one of those ones that was like so like I felt like I just need them to be together, but I couldn't. I like was so mad at it, but I couldn't stop reading it. And it made me want to like throw the book across the room and like have all of these like violent emotions while I was reading it. But at the same time, I was like, I cannot stop. This is amazing. I need to know what happens next. I need them to know if they end up together. Like you get so invested in their relationship. So I was so emotionally scarred by this book that I haven't read Still yet, but I will be reading Still this year, before the end of the year, so this month, and I am 100% sure I'm going to love it, so I just knew I had to mention these ones. Okay, on a more fun note, I have another from Jenn from the Book Refuge, and that is the Takeover by T.L. Swan. This one, I had read the, what's the first one called? The Stopover. I read the Stopover, and I was like, it's okay, it's fine. Like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like amazing. I think I gave it 4 stars, and I liked it. And I was like, this is pretty good, but I wasn't in like a rush to go into the second one until I saw Jenn talk about this book. And I immediately was like, oh, I just read the first one. I guess I should just go in right now because Jenn loved this so much. I loved this. It's so good. So this one is about Tristan Miles, who is a millionaire. He has lots of money, and he runs Miles Media with his 2 or 3 brothers, and he is responsible for taking over other dying companies and making them part of Miles Media, or making them better and then selling them off for more money to make a profit. So he finds this company, and it's run by this woman named Kate, I think. I don't remember what her name. I think her name's Kate. I could be wrong. So this woman is running her late husband's company. It was in her late husband's family for a very long time. He had always wanted to leave it to their 3 sons, but he passed away, and she's been kind of killing herself trying to run this company, and it is on its last legs. And so Tristan comes in, and he offers to buy the company, and she is so offended. She's like, absolutely not. I'm not selling this company. Like, get out. And then they meet each other. They also, during this interaction, she's so offended, but she's also like, he's really hot. And they're like attracted to each other a lot. But she's pissed off. So then later, she goes to this kind of conference in France where it's like a business conference where they have like business leaders of the world come and speak and do like a learning situation. And one of the speakers happens to be Tristan, and she and him end up in a fling in France. And then she's like, it'll end when we get back to New York. However, when they get back to New York, she goes back home where she is a single mother to 3 kids, and he is like, no, I can't, we're not done yet. I'm not done yet. And he shows up at her house, and her kids are so mean to him. They're like, oh my god, it's ridiculous, it's hilarious. Her kids are one of my favorite things about this story, and the way that Tristan's relationship, not only with the heroine, develops, but also the heroine's children and how they become a family, is so beautiful and amazing. Tristan is a sweetheart. I love him, and it was just so good. One more, one that I really read recently. This one I saw on Tori from Novel Life's channel, and that is I just dropped it, oh my god, Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe. This is a historical, and this one Tori was talking about in a video. I think it might have been like her wrap-up or something, and it has one of my favorite tropes in that I know Tori also loves, and that is, I never know what to call this trope. It's like a seduction training, or like, it's when a more experienced man teaches a woman about flirting or sex or being more outgoing, to help, like, she's awkward and doesn't know what to do, and he helps her out, and then they fall in love. So this book has that trope, and Tori was talking about it, and I was like, I knew immediately this is something that I would like. And I hadn't read a historical in a really long time. It had been months and months and months since I had read a historical. They just hadn't, none of the newer historicals had been interesting me, like, nothing had like really like jumped out at me. And then the day after I watched that video, I had put it on my TBR, and the day after I watched that video, I ended up driving past a Barnes & Noble and was like, I'm just gonna go in. And then I saw this book and was like, that's the book that Tori was talking about. I immediately bought it. It is the only mass market Max that I have bought, because I hate the mass market Max, but it's the only one that I was like, damn, I need that. I know I'm gonna like that one. So I picked it up and I immediately read it. I read it that day that I bought it, I read it in like one sitting and I loved it. It is about a woman named Alice who is she's very awkward, she's shy, she is not outgoing at all. She doesn't really know how to talk to people, let alone like attract a husband. And she's at this house party with a bunch of other women who are also searching for husbands, and she overhears one of them talking about how Kit can turn any woman into a vixen, and she's like, I need help. He sounds like an expert. So she goes to his bedroom at night, sneaks into his room at night, and is like, hey, can you give me lessons on how to attract a husband, how to be more outgoing? And he is avidly against it at first. He's like, absolutely not, that's not going to work out. But he ends up agreeing, and they end up forming this really, really adorable friendship and later romance, and it's so good. I loved it. So, so, so good. So, those are the only ones that I wanted to talk about in this video. I could do so many more of these videos, talking about Booktube's influence on me, but that is it for this one. So please give it a like if you did like it. And if you want to catch up with me anytime between videos, make sure to be following my Instagram or my Goodreads. Both links are in the description. I post on those very regularly, and that is the best way to see what's going on between videos. But until then, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!